All right, what's going on, guys? Vinland Saga, episode 11, A Gamble. Let's do it! So in this episode, we begin with Thorkel in the forest with his men. He just captured Prince Canute and some of his religious followers and his right-hand man, and they're traveling through the forest. They then start talking about religion, which is kind of a humorous conversation. They're talking about Valhalla and how Vikings, the only way to reach Valhalla, which is basically their idealization of what heaven looks like, is to be a true warrior. They have to prove themselves in the battlefield. So they have to fight strong warriors, and the stronger the warrior, the better, because it basically gives them brownie points to King Odin, or the god of Odin. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of a humorous little moment. They have a little philosophical discussion on whether or not Jesus or Odin is actually the true savior. Priest, they ask him, they're like, hey, who do you believe in? And he's like, I believe in the god that creates alcohol. So that was a nice little humorous moment, a nice little joke in Vinland Saga, a series that is usually relatively solemn and very serious and gritty, so it's nice to see they have a little bit of versatility and they can make you laugh from time to time. We then have a situation where a Denmark army of about, what was it? I think it was 500, but they claim they have in the thousands, and they're like, hey, give us back Prince Canute, and they're threatening Thorkel and his army, and Thorkel just gives him back. He's like, oh, you can have him, that's fine, but when you get Prince Canute, here's the deal. You gotta prove your worth. I know you guys are Vikings just like me, so you either gotta fight me or you're a bunch of pussies. So what is it? Are you pussies? And this has got to be the simplest bait tactic I have seen. I mean, they got the prize that they were looking for. Thorkel just handed Prince Canute over, and they get baited into the fact that they're being called pussies by another Viking, so now they got to have a battle in the forest. And it's like... Oh man, is there any does anyone have a brain? Does anyone say to the captain, hey dude, another time, let's not get into a brawl with Thorkel in the forest. The dude is massive, he's insane, he's an unstoppable warrior, his band of other mercenaries, they're just as insane as he is. It's gonna be a bloodbath, we're probably gonna lose most of our troops, if not all of our troops, and Prince Canute to boot. Prince Canute to boot. That's a good one. Let's just rethink this. Let's go back to Denmark, to King Sven, return Prince Canute, and rethink a battle strategy. But no, unfortunately, they don't have one person who can give the captain a heart-to-heart talk, so they start fighting with each other. And then we have a situation where we see Askeladd in the forest, and they gotta plan themselves. It's funny because one of Askeladd's scouts is listening to the earth, and he's like, I hear sounds. And Askeladd's like, no shit, dumbass, I can hear it too. It doesn't take a freaking brainiac to figure that one out. So another little humorous moment, Askeladd then with his fellow Yam Vikings of only about 100, they decide, hey, we're gonna burn some leaves and trees in the forest with some oil. The reason for this is that they want to create a large shroud of black smoke, which is going to create a lot of confusion, and then they can have Thorfinn ride in with his horse, swoop up Prince Canute, and bring him back to Askeladd, and thus Askeladd has the leverage that he so sorely is looking for, which is going to bring him lots of money and riches, and will basically sustain him and his army for quite some time. So they send in Thorfinn, they douse him in some water so that he doesn't burn up in the forest, his clothing doesn't catch fire, and he starts fighting off some of the troops. He's going to defend Prince Canute, but right before he starts going on an onslaught and killing all these soldiers, we see a man with 3 fingers waving his hand. And of course, that man is Thorkel. The 2 fingers that he's missing are the 2 fingers that Thorfinn took from him. And Thorkel's like, hey, buddy, let's just slow down here. Hey, I got 2 questions for you. First question, what was the first question? I can't remember. Oh, this is so bad. Anyway, the second question was, hey, are you the son of Thors and the son of Helga? I knew your father, the troll of Yam, and we were actually buddies back in the day, and he is the strongest warrior that I know of. And this is a nice little character interaction between the two. Now, we learn more about Thorkel, but again, Thorfinn is still very silent and reserved. He's still on this vengeance trip, and we're not getting really great insights on his character. I guess you could say he's not really developing as a character because he's got this singular mission that is kind of holding him back in life and growing as a man. So I guess that's a good point of view to take before he transitions to maybe a more exploratory side of who he is. Like, he still has to discover who he is. He doesn't really know at this point. He was a kid thrust into a world where his dad died. So we still have to figure that out. And we have to figure out what's going on with Prince Canute. Because just at the end of the episode, Prince Canute takes off his helmet and his long, beautiful blonde locks are blowing in the breeze and everyone gets a peculiar boner and they're like, well, what the fuck? Wait a minute, that's not a dude, that's a girl. At least presumably they think it's a girl. It might be a hermaphrodite. I guess we don't really know yet. Prince Canute has not spoken yet, so we don't know if it's a boy, if it's a girl, if it's a hermaphrodite, if it's something else. So we have to figure out what's going on there. Maybe this is why Prince Canute, or maybe Princess, who knows, is not that willing to fight because she knows that, against strong Jan Vikings, she's not going to really have much of a chance. I mean, it's not to say that women can't fight and can't be as involved in war as men can, but I mean, in general, a woman's stature is just not as advantageous as a man's stature in fighting. Men usually have about 10% quicker reaction on average. Strength is a little better. Men are faster because their hips are more narrow, whereas women's hips are usually a little wider because, their bodies are more geared towards childbirth. So there's a lot of things that kind of go into that. Not trying to be sexist in any sort of way, just trying to give you some of the facts that I've learned through some of my research, but we'll have to figure out why Prince or Princess Canute is not involved in fighting. Maybe the next episode we'll get a little more insight on that. Maybe she'll open up to Thorfinn because they look like they're relatively the same age. So that would be a nice little interesting character dynamic and some room for growth for both of those characters, which I feel is so sorely lacking at this point in the story. I mean, the fights are really good, albeit a little bit exaggerated here or there. Thorkel is turning out to be a bit of a vacuous character. He's just a big brute. I mean, he is who he is. He serves his purpose. I really like Askeladd. He's very cunning. He's always got a master plan. He's always thinking of how he can turn a situation to his advantage and profit off of it. So from that purpose, I'm still really enjoying the show. And the plot is very good. I mean, it's keeping me entertained. We still got a lot of stuff to uncover here. So I feel like we still got a lot of interesting developments. I hope we get some more insights on Thorfinn and Canute in the following episodes. And yeah, I think that's about it for now. I think I've said enough. We'll catch you on the flip side.